Good to go? All right. Well, welcome into the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. We're all about connecting the folks of Johnson City to your hometown businesses and the businesses here in town. And I'm your host, Ryan McKinney. Thanks for listening. I'd like to welcome to the show Leighton Hart of Market Street Media, who is our host platform here on the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. So he's here to share a bit of his story, a little bit about Market Street Media and what's been going on in the past year. And congratulations, you're a second time. So first time I've had a guest on for the second time. So
it's an honor. Thanks for making the commute really easy. Like I had to walk from over there to over here to do this. It's really cool.
Well, and part of the conversation of having you on the show again is I think it'll be fun years from now to have this timeline of where we were a year ago when we first launched, and then year 2 and year 3 and year 4, and kind of keep some of these conversations going and just seeing the growth of one, the podcast, but two, the platform and Market Street Media. So I think it'll be a fun conversation.
I appreciate that. That feels like a gift to me because I think having that archive or being able to look at that progression would be really cool. So thank you.
Of course. So talk about the progression of Market Street Media from concept to launch and actually having a physical space and a recording studio for folks that may not know the story.
Yeah, I think incremental growth is the word. So the very beginning of what we do here was started as I really just wanted to help a friend get better audio on his podcast. And so the next step after that was, okay, well, this equipment isn't working. What if we tried different equipment? Okay, what if we try setting up permanently equipment in my conference room? That way we don't have to fiddle with all the gear, all that stuff. And the next thing we knew, I posted a couple pictures on an Instagram account, and people were contacting us saying, "Hey, can I come look at your stuff, or can you help me record or whatever?" And this business kind of came out of the ground. Now, I like to say I'm in the business of helping creative people take their message to the world, and so I've felt around to figure out how that expresses itself. Like, is that helping people with their social media? Is that helping people come up with marketing answer or whatever? What I have found is that I really want to own the word podcasting in our area here. And so when somebody thinks about podcasting, I want them to think about Market Street Media.
Yep.
We've expanded a little bit. We're doing more YouTube stuff now and helping people create YouTube content. But I've really pulled away from some of those other potential services to offer to focus in on podcasting and to a certain extent YouTube. So I've discovered that trying to be a lot of things to a lot of people, I'm not super effective that way. I can be really, really good at helping you create a podcast and creating some YouTube content. So that's kind of where we want to shine.
And so why, obviously, with the launch of the studio and it being podcasting, and you said, we could kind of try this and try this and try this, and it keeps coming back to podcasting. What is it about podcasting that you enjoy that you think the business owners that have shows here at the Market Street Media enjoy?
Yeah, somebody else asked me that yesterday, and I think podcasting to me is the easiest content to create, the easiest high value content to create, I would say. So it's easy to create an Instagram post. It's easy to a tweet or something like that. But in terms of high value, really valuable content, we just hit record on the mics here and we talk and we share what we know. Writing is, I love to write, but it takes time.
Yep.
And you really want things to be right. But podcasting can be the backbone of your content marketing strategy for any business. And so that helps. It's a very leveraged way to create content. But then the other thing too is that it helps create that know, like, and trust factor, which is so important today. And so by listening to you talk to people, every week, people get a sense of who you really are as a person. I mean, you can't. It would be hard to fake, a different personality, different character week after week with all these different kinds of guests. People listen to your podcast, they figure out who you are,
right?
And they'll be either drawn to you or not drawn to you. I think people will, and so it's a very easy way to build up that know, like, and trust factor for a business. I think that's what draws businesses to it.
y- I say you launched Market Street Media. Was that February
Yeah, yeah, it was yeah, January of 2020.
2020?
Hmm.
Okay, so then we celebrate the first birthday,
Yep.
2021. What did you learn, as a small business owner, that um, starting a business and then having that first year and during a pandemic that
Mhm.
nobody had ever faced before? What were some of the things that you learned that maybe some of our folks could take away from?
If somebody in the same spot, starting a business, trying to figure out, where do I get revenue? What services are going to offer? A couple of things I would say is don't hesitate to say no. You don't have to take every piece of business that comes in the door. Take it if it's a good fit for you and is going to get you where you want to go. And also, I mean, honestly, you probably hear this from a lot of people is probably need to be charging more than you start out. You need to raise prices. Either start, charging what you're worth, or raise prices pretty fast. Um, so those are probably the two pieces for me. If I can, um, provide a lot of value in excess of what people are paying, that's a good deal for people, and I think we do here.
Yep. And what did you learn in particular about yourself in this process?
So I learning that this is the kind of work that I like to do. Like, it's project based. It doesn't come home with me at night. Like, there's no podcasting emergencies, right?
Right.
So, like,
Yeah,
my phone doesn't really ring.
right.
We're going to record this today. I'll prep it for you. We'll get it posted so that it publishes, at a later date. But after all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, it's now from there, I can promote it on social media for you
Mhm.
and things like that. But by and large, it's a very manageable workflow, which for me, I've had some career experience in the past that can be chaotic, dramatic, up and down. I worked with investments in the past, and so something could go wrong in China, and I'm getting 40
Right.
phone calls the next day. That doesn't happen with podcasting, and so it's a family friendly, very structured work environment for me.
Love it. So tell folks the opportunity that if they're out there and they're thinking, then they don't even have to be a business owner, right, to have a podcast here. But if they're thinking, okay, I think podcast may benefit me. What what are some things that they need to know, or what are some things that they need to be asking as they're starting to launch this podcast?
Yeah, I think the place to start is who do you want to serve? Like, who's the listener? And um, just because that's the person you want to serve doesn't mean that's the person that's going to tune in or
Hmm.
whatever, but or that millions of people are going to tune in. But I want to have a clear picture of who is it that you want to serve, and what is it that you want to do for them? Do you want to entertain them? Do you want to inform them? Do you want to enlighten them somehow? So who is it, and then what's the purpose, and then go from there, and then also do like some self analysis inventory of your skills in terms of, am I a good interviewer? Does interviewing people make me nervous? Do I do better if I have a script and I just read a script, almost like an audio blog post,
Sure.
which is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
In fact, there's no wrong way to do a podcast. This is just a platform.
Right.
So if we have a client, Krista Wright comes in, she started off as an interview show and then pivoted after taking a little break over the holidays, and now she comes in and she does a guided meditation. Super chill, super cool. It provides great value to the people who are
Hmm.
listening, and it's a great fit for her. A really great expression of her skills, um, but it's a little outside the box to just say, "All right, we're going to fire up the mics and do this." But I want anybody listening who's considering starting a podcast. It doesn't have to be a panel discussion. It doesn't have to be an interview. Y- you want to suit it to how you're made and how you can excel.
Yeah. There's no wrong way to
Right.
podcast.
I think that's right.
Um, so talking about the vision of Market Street Media and what it was when you started, has that evolved any, or what is your vision for Market Street Media?
Oh man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Really, the vision is born out of the origin is trying to remove barriers for people to get creative work into the world because you know, you start looking at mics and gear and software and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and you could have all this killer content inside you, but you see those hurdles and you're like, ugh, I can't get this out. So I would say the vision is let's create, let's find more opportunities to help people put creative stuff into the world, whether that's maybe somebody, starts their first YouTube channel
Hmm.
or gets their first YouTube channel monetized, which is a huge thing for people.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe somebody starts their first podcast or a business reaches out and this is the first foray into some kind of new media. They've always, you know, placed ads and
Billboards and newspaper
all those
traditionally.
things. Yeah, yeah, and they're trying something new. So we want to, hold people's hands as they try things new that we think will be effective for them.
So speaking of YouTube,
Hmm.
you know, I've seen some YouTube shorts,
Hmm.
right, in the new verbiage, and
Yep.
then I saw YouTube monetization, and I saw Market Street Media and taking these avenues to test, I guess,
Yep.
for themselves, and then obviously be able to show clients how to do that. Talk about it is a really big deal to get monetized on YouTube.
Yeah.
And for those that are listening, describe what monetized means, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit of that.
Yeah. So when I say monetized on YouTube, that means that YouTube has a program called the Partner Program, and when you qualify, meet certain objectives, they will start running ads on your videos, and whatever money they collect from running those ads, they'll split that with you. And so that to me is a good thing because
Yeah.
I'm looking for ways to create income
Yep.
while I'm not necessarily here. And so you have to have to get monetized, you have to have 1,000 subscribers, which on the one hand, when you look at big YouTubers who have like 50 million subscribers, you're like 1,000, that should
That's
be
not that
easy.
many. Yeah.
But when you're creating a new YouTube channel, it's a grind. Like you have to fight for every single
Right.
subscriber. So 1,000 subscribers and then 4,000 hours of watch time, which again,
Hmm.
you don't really know that number until you start seeing that, okay, today I had 15 minutes of watch time. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to take a long time. Fortunately, we did create a channel that got there. We're close on another channel or two, and my eyes were really opened when we finally qualified and got accepted into that program because, it started off the first day. I think we made like $8 or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. But
Yeah.
it creeps up over time to where 25-30 bucks a day is coming off of that channel right now, which is
Right.
just wild. And once we create those videos and post them, we don't do anything else with them.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's evergreen.
Yep.
Cool. Love that. And you would be able to help then a client who's interested in looking to do YouTube shorts or YouTube monetization. That is something that Market Street Media could do.
Yeah, yeah, and to be very clear, what we don't want to do, and what other people are more effective than us at is like shooting the video,
Hmm.
editing the video really nicely. Videographers, other agencies are fantastic for that. We want you to hire them for that. Where we come in is on strategy,
Yep.
on talking. Here's what you need to be doing. This is the direction that you go in. Here are some things to try, some strategy and consulting, instead of creating the actual
Yep.
content.
Love it.
Mhm.
So there's always, the opportunity, I believe, to um, work with you guys and seeing an opportunity just to take somebody's idea into a podcast. And so, really, how do people get in touch with you? Where do they find you? Where do they connect with you in the business?
Yeah, I would say a couple ways. I would love for people to, we're talking about YouTube. We post a lot of free tutorials and helpful information on our YouTube channel. So Market Street Media on YouTube. All of our podcasts, we broadcast them to a different YouTube channel. So this is going out on Market Street Media Live
Hmm.
right now on YouTube. So those are good places just to get a feel for what we do, where our heads at, all that. Marketstreet.media is our website, and I try to post new things to the blog every week. And one thing that I'm not afraid to do is run marketing experience, try new things and experiments, try new things, and then tell the audience if they work or don't work.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of um, in small business entrepreneurship or whatever. There's a lot of times a desire to be like everything I do
I
works.
got to be perfect.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
killing it and all that. not everything works.
Right.
Uh,
And
and I'm
that's okay.
and I'm not afraid to tell you if I
Right.
try something and it doesn't work. So if you want to see kind of behind the scenes, the unvarnished, I post a lot of stuff on our blog about that. So marketstreet.media, and then we're on pretty much every social media platform you can imagine. Instagram might be the first place to look. So market_street. I can't say that. Look up Market Street Media on Instagram.
I
It's a
love it.
mouthful.
It is fun. And so, like, what been some of the fun memories over the last year that you remember going through? I mean, from people having to wear masks
Yeah.
to social distancing to things like that. But can you recall any of the fun moments for this historical timeline that I'm kind of putting together right here for us to look back on one year and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
a
cool.
great question. So I would say over the past year, just responding to the challenges of, we had one client that wanted to continue recording in person. It was very important that she continue to record in person because Zoom just wasn't a good fit and all that.
Yeah.
And so we were able to match her up with some gear that she could record at her home.
Mhm.
And then she would ship me the audio file and I would do it there. We've had other people, um, for one of our clients, it was related to his podcast, but he hosted at his business, and we live streamed that.
Yeah.
And so I was in here on a Saturday night, kind of running behind the scenes for that event. And so as people bring, you know, what seem to be challenges,
Yeah.
I like trying to solve the problem. And
Finding the solution.
yep,
So people can go to find you on all the social media channels, looking you up on YouTube and things like that. So I appreciate the opportunity to spend time, continue to learn about the business, continue to learn about these podcasts that we got going on. I think a good one right now is Better Every Day with Brad Weems. And so if folks can subscribe to that, check out Brad and take a listen. And also, I mean, I'm looking at a board right now with a dozen podcasts being uh, disseminated out on the Market Street Media platform. So it seems like it continues to grow and just will continue to thrive.
it does, and which thrills me. Uh, one for my business, but also for these people who are stepping into something new and doing something they've never done before, which to me is really cool. I will say you've been with us from the beginning and you are doing great. I love producing your show every week. And I was talking with Jeremy Tudor across the hall, who
Yeah.
you had on a few weeks ago, and he said, Ryan's show is great. He's a great interviewer. So you're doing great. Please keep up the great work.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. It's fun for us. The Johnson City Small Business Podcast was born out of my interest in small businesses here in town and really just getting to be the connector of businesses with our people, right? Going back to why do you do what you do
Yep.
for your podcast? How do you connect and how do you do that? It became an opportunity to just, you know, our superpower, I think, in our family is saying, you need a doctor, call so and so.
Yep.
You need to start a podcast, call Leighton, right? You need a car, call so and so.
Yep.
And so we just like being that person in our community and then to be able to do it on a platform
Yes.
and then to put it out there and kind of make it official that, yeah, we can connect you to whoever you want to connect to. That's kind of why we do what we do. So
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much ends our time, wraps up our time here together on the Johnson City Small Business Podcast today. I'd like to thank you for investing your time with us today. That was great. Thank you, Leighton. And you guys might be hearing and seeing the new man behind the scenes right now for Market Street Media. You want to introduce?
I'm so excited. Teve Mushai is in the booth right now. Teve is a graduate student at ETSU. He's learning all about brand strategy, media strategy, communications, marketing, all that stuff. And so he is contributing to our efforts here. And it's just an honor to have him with us.
Yep. True talent, I believe. So this is the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan McKinney. And until next time, keep living your life by design.